So, to preface this, I didn't upload the video last night because I was sick. There's no rant video tonight because I was sick. You can take the pop culture breakdown tonight and love it, you fucking noobs. Ladies, gentlemen, window lickers of all ages, step right up. Don't be shy. Peer through the curtain and see the clowns at their craft. Witness the desperate dance of a once great Baldwin. Watch in terrible glee as the great mouse tumbles. Recoil from the mad gambolling of a Skywalker. Your ringmaster, the Goblin King, guides you through this treacherous world of capering clowns in this week's Pop Culture Breakdown. Welcome back, folks. This week was a bit of a slow one in pop culture, at least from my perspective. We've got a bit of an update on the Baldwin saga, but that seems to be going quiet at this point. YouTube being YouTube, Disney continuing to circle that great S-bend, Mark Hamill continuing to be insane. The usual shenanigans from our supposed betters. Overall, not much to be had this week though. So, without further ado, let's get into this. The first story of the week comes from Alec Baldwin. It seems that Baldwin wants studios to hire police on sets that use any sort of firearms during production as a measure of safety. I mean, I can't outright dismiss this as a terrible idea, because it's not really a terrible idea. However, I do feel that police officers would be better suited to protecting everyone else from actual crimes. For every police officer that's on some stupid Hollywood set, that's one less officer on the streets doing their actual job. As a counter to that argument, how about actually following regulations and safety protocols that have been established since at least 1993? How about not pointing guns at people on a movie set at all? Ever. I mean, that'd clear up your issue there really nice, I think. The second story out of Monday concerns that first MCU film to get a rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, The Eternals. Now, in general, nobody with more than 2 brain cells rubbed together gives a flying rat's ass what a professional critic thinks about a movie, especially not the ones we have to work with these days, who, by and large, are mostly woke shills that will unendingly praise any film that aligns with
the message.
However, this shit is just too damn funny not to bring up. It seems that Monday, The Eternals knocked Shang-Chi out of its place as the third worst MCU movie of all time. Isn't that special? While the film opened last week at 71 million, the true test will be this weekend. I guess we'll see what happens. Personally, I want this thing to be a flop. Disney needs to get the message that this kind of shit doesn't sell. Now, the third story to come out of Monday is more Eternals news. However, this time it's so much stunning and brave wisdom coming from the overly large lips of Angelina Jolie. Wisdom that we should all listen to, since we know what a well-adjusted individual she is. This paragon of virtue decided to speak out against the banning of the Eternals in several Middle Eastern countries. News that I covered last week. Well, Jolie feels that anyone not accepting gay people in films is ignorant. While she's not wrong, we've had an update since last week, and we do now know that Disney decided to cut all the things that these Middle Eastern people disagreed with so that their movie would be screened in those countries. That, right there, that's the punchline, and it's fucking hilarious. The first story from Tuesday is something a little more heartwarming. It seems that actor Gary Sinise is something that somebody like Angelina Jolie can only pretend to be, a stand-up person. Gary Sinise does actual good shit, as opposed to pretending to do good shit with virtue points. He builds homes for injured veterans. Just recently, he donated a smart home specifically tailored to this man, Jason Ross, who lost both his legs to an IED in Afghanistan. Like I said, heartwarming. The next story is something that I just couldn't resist. I saw Neon from Clownfish covering this story and I had to include it. So it looks like some set photos from Spiderman No Way Home may have leaked, and confirmed some of the biggest rumors about the film. The first photo shows Tom Holland, a significantly older Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield together in their Spider-Man costumes. The next one shows Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock sitting around a table with Aunt May, Happy, and Peter. Now, Tom Holland is on record stating that one of the coolest scenes he'd shot was a simple scene sitting around a table with an unknown character. This seems like it could be some sort of confirmation that this particular photo is real. Who knows? If it is, that's really cool and actually makes me excited to see this movie. Something I wasn't excited to do with Far From Home. Our next story concerns a rumor. A rumor started, or at least initially reported on, by a YouTuber whose content I actually enjoy, Doomcock. Now, Doomcock often reports on rumors and rumblings he hears coming from the Hollywood sphere, and this one is one of them. This rumor would have it seem as though Bob Chapek and Kevin Feige are feuding over the direction and the hopeful eventual cliff that the MCU is currently heading toward. That Bob Chapek is dead set against this direction despite the numerous public comments he's made about taking Disney itself in that woke-ass direction. Doomcock has broken any number of rumors over the course of his career, and always tells his audience to take them with a lot of salt. Personally, I hope this rumor is true and something happens that can wrest the MCU from the increasingly dipshit clutches of Feige. However, I'm not holding my breath. The next story out of Tuesday is what basically amounts to a retraction of the story that I did last week concerning Emilio Estevez. Since then, Emilio has come out to publicly denounce the narrative that he was let go from the Mighty Ducks series due to being against certain mandates. He states that his exit was prompted by creative differences and contract disputes. For a minute there, I totally thought Estevez was based as fuck. The last story out of Tuesday concerns a very racist article featured on Film Updates, written by one Bessie Devlin and reported on by Downing into Comics. The entire essay written by Devlin was steeped in racism and race-baiting bullshit, with yet more claims that the original film trilogy by Peter Jackson and the source material were racist. I went ahead and archived it so that the site itself hopefully would lose traffic. It was truly a disgusting and vile piece of trash that I had a difficult time getting through, either due to paroxysms of rage or laughter. I seem to remember reading somewhere that you should always try to laugh at stupid shit, rather than getting angry. So here's the punchline. The first story from Wednesday talks about YouTube's true brainlet decision to hide public dislikes on videos. YouTube claims that this is to help smaller creators from being bombarded with dislikes. Yet, creators can still see the number of dislikes that they're getting on their content via YouTube Studio. So, it seems to many creators that the only reason YouTube is actually doing this is for the giant brands which they shill for on their site, many of which get ratioed to hell and back, such as Star Wars content after Disney's despicable firing of Gina Carano. This here is the punchline. The next story focuses on Henry Cavill and his upcoming film reboot of Highlander. According to Cavill, this one is helmed by the same guy that did John Wick, and will be a lot more grounded in reality. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Especially a film about a bunch of immortal swordsmen being grounded in reality. I do like Cavill, and he seems excited about the project. I'm just honestly not sure why they needed to do a reboot of the original movie. There are plenty of immortals running around that they could have worked with, I think. Honestly, I didn't see the last movie with Adrian Paul, so I'm not sure how that one left the franchise. Though that still doesn't mean they couldn't do a spin-off or something. That's what the TV show was after all, and I know I loved it. I loved all the movies. Except the second one. That one was objectively awful. I don't know. I might give it a shot if nothing else. The next story is also Cavill-centric, and has him voicing his thoughts on the idea of a black Superman. As you can see here, he stated that Superman was more than a physical look, he's an ideal. Which, yeah, I suppose so. However, Superman also has a very specific physical look and way of being that's been around for nearly a century now. I'm very much a purist when it comes to any sort of adaptation, and I wouldn't stand for changing any established character or property, regardless of skin color or anything else. I wouldn't make North Star straight. I wouldn't make Al Simmons or Luke Cage Chinese. Also, I'm completely and utterly against anything that racist scum Ta-Nehisi Coates does or stands for or thinks or says, and I find it utterly disgusting that this piece of human garbage is put on or even given a platform. I'm all for a Val Zod incarnation of Superman, though. Get it? The first story out of Thursday is legend John Cleese pulling out of a debate at the Cambridge Union due to woke bullshit and cancel culture. apparently just before Cleese basically telling them to take a rubber phallus and use it emphatically upon themselves. The union had blacklisted an art historian for doing an impersonation of Hitler. The historian, of course, apologized, which we all know you should never do. Cleese, however, decided to, as he put it, blacklist himself before anybody else could. As any fan of Cleese knows, he's done several notable impersonations of Hitler over his illustrious career. Unlike Emilio Estevez, John Cleese is base as fuck. The last Thursday article is utter clown world shit. Maxwell Adams, creator of disgustingly awesome cartoon The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, likes to actually interact with fans on that haven for woke, Tumblr. He was recently asked a question about working with Adult Swim. His answer to that was that would be unlikely, as the current head of Adult Swim was the same dude who blamed him for ruining Cartoon Network's brand with his, quote, hateful fart cartoon, before promptly firing him. Honestly, that seems a little drastic, especially since we all know that the thing which ruined Cartoon Network was CalArts bullshit. Like this. The first Friday article concerns Aaron Rodgers and Mark Hamill. While I'm not a sports ball fan of any stripe, I'm a nerd and jocks are my traditional and natural enemy after all. Anyone who was a nerd before the mid-2000s knows exactly what I'm talking about. I know that some controversy has surrounded the athlete recently. Stuff that I'm not going to comment on because it's not my place or the place of this particular channel. However, it seems that Hamill, who got spectacularly broken over a certain period of 4 years, took some issue with a sweatshirt that Rodgers was wearing in a recent interview. It seems that Rodgers was wearing a Rise of Skywalker sweatshirt. Now, I'm not sure why Hamill would take issue with that. We all know that the Disney trilogy isn't real Star Wars, and Hamill has voiced his opinion on those gods-awful movies several times. So, why was that the focus of his ire? Hamill should be glad someone he doesn't like is wearing that evil brand, right? The last story for Friday, and to close out the week, concerns a sequel to the acclaimed 90s X-Men cartoon coming to Disney+. All I can say is... Alright, well that's all I have for you this week, folks. Hopefully you were mildly entertained by this week's clown show. What you think of this week's stories? Let me know in the comments section down below. While you're down there, show me how much you love me. I'll see you tomorrow for my weekly rant. Lates.